so you know before you're home. The Drive with Terry Moore on CFAX 1070.
I find this a fascinating story. Now listen, catch this, kids. U.S. prosecutors in Manhattan are sitting on a multi-million-dollar Bitcoin gold mine, and it could get much bigger. Federal authorities hauled in 29,655 units of the digital currency. It's worth $27 million, or 16.5 million pounds at the current exchange rate, through an official forfeiture by Bitcoin this week. The Bitcoins had belonged to Silk Road, an anonymous online black market that authorities say was a conduit for purchases of drugs and computer hacking services, even a place where assassins may have advertised. It was shuttered after the FBI raid last September when the agents took control of its server and arrested the man they say was its founder in San Francisco. So I said, wait a minute. What in the name of goodness is a Bitcoin? So I started to ask around the radio station, and some people said, yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, it's kind of like an online currency. And I said, really? But I said, I understand people are buying stuff on eBay, they're dealing on houses and on boats and all kinds of deals, and they're using this thing called Bitcoin. So I said to Alan Perry, who is the man who knows everything, I said, find me some people who can talk about Bitcoins. And he says, I'll do it. So he did. He came across a couple of young students. Mike Yeung is one of them. Esther Tung is another one. Mike is the president, and Esther is the vice president of the Simon Fraser Bitcom Club. Everything you want to know about Bitcoin currency. So they've agreed to join us this afternoon to talk about this form of currency, which actually doesn't belong to any government. It's not issued by the Bank of Canada or the Bank of England or the European Union. I don't know what the heck this stuff is, but they do. So let's find out more. I'll just quit yakking my mouth off here and talk to the people who know something about it. So, Mike, thank you for taking time out to join us today on CFAX 1070.
It's my pleasure.
And Esther, thank you for taking time out and you joining us as well.
Hello.
All right, so listen, the two of you, here we go. Let's start off with the obvious question. Mike, what the heck is a Bitcoin and why is it becoming so significant?
Well, Bitcoin is more or less just a way to email money to people anywhere in the world with no fees attached to it.
Wait, hang a second. If I'm sitting over in Italy right now, and you're sitting there at Simon Fraser University, and I email you and I say, Mike, I need $50,000. Would you email that to me in Bitcoin?
Yep, I'll do that in Bitcoin. That's my most preferred method. I could do it within 10 seconds.
And how do I cash it?
Well, if you're there in Italy, there's got to be some merchants or some coffee shop or some restaurant that can take Bitcoin. If you can't do that, you can go on one of the many online exchanges, exchange Bitcoin for whatever currency they use in Italy, or maybe you can try and sell Bitcoins in person for cash.
So, but how? See, this is where I get confused about this. Let me just reach into my pocket right now, okay? Because this is what I know about money, okay? Hang on a second here. I got a toonie. Here's a toonie. All right, and here's a loonie. Now, I can recognize that. And here's a quarter. I can recognize that. I can see these coins in front of me. But the Bitcoins, I don't see at all.
Well, it's pretty much like the bank. I mean, it's pretty much like money in your bank account. You don't see that as well, right?
Yeah.
So currency as they exist right now, regardless of whatever government you're working with, pretty much 90% of all currency is non-existent. They're all just on some computer database. It's never printed. It's never minted. And Bitcoin is really no different, except for this one, it's created by people on the internet. It's governed by people and not government. Now,
Esther Tung, you're a fourth-year communications undergrad at SFU. You're also the vice president of the Simon Fraser Bitcoin Club. Does the Bank of Canada recognize Bitcoin?
The Bank of Canada hasn't come out saying, well, they don't recognize it as legal tender the way Germany does. And Singapore has also started to regulate it like a product, but as far as legislation like Germany or Singapore, Canada hasn't released anything on it yet.
Now, there's a coffee shop in Vancouver that recognizes Bitcoin. You could go in there and buy your coffee and pay with Bitcoin. Is that correct?
We have more than one coffee shop.
And we've got some places over here on Vancouver Island as well, I understand.
I think so. You must.
Yeah, we've got a couple of stores that recognize it. The Victoria retailer Hempen Company dabbles in virtual currency called Bitcoin. You can do it there. So I'm still confused, guys. How do I use this stuff effectively? And if I want to put a couple of Canadian $20 bills in my pocket, how do I exchange them?
Well, one way to do it is to go on one of the main exchanges that exists on the internet to buy Bitcoin. So there, for example, in Canada, there's cavertex.com.
Yeah.
What you would do is just deposit money from your bank account onto that website, and you can just buy Bitcoin depending on whatever price you set it to. And if you hit the right price, you'll buy some Bitcoins, and vice versa. You can also sell your Bitcoins for Canadian dollars if you wish.
But now, Esther, I can't go into the Royal Bank or into the Bank of Montreal or into the Toronto Dominion Bank or the Hong Kong Bank or any bank around it doesn't matter, and say, hey, listen, I've got $150,000 worth of Bitcoin here. Can I exchange it for Canadian cash?
No, you can't do that. You have to do it either online or you have to do it with another person who's willing to give you cash in exchange for your Bitcoins.
So how does it become legal tender?
The government has to make it legal tender. That's not necessarily the route that everyone in Bitcoin wants to take.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, yeah, what?
Well, it's really not an issue about whether or not it's legal tender. It's just about its utility, right?
Yeah, okay.
So if I were to send money to somebody in Singapore, Philippines, I would probably use Bitcoin if it's possible for the other person to understand it. Well, so given how usually if you want to wire money internationally, it's quite expensive.
Yes.
It's quite time-consuming. There's a lot of regulations involved. I would probably use Bitcoin. It's a lot quicker. It's cheap.
So this bypasses all of the things that you would have to go through and the bank transfer fees and all this kind of stuff. Also, you can do it in place of having to use a credit card. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
So you don't have any fees involved there. My question for the two of you though is this, and that is, if this is not quote unquote legal tender that is backed by bullion or backed by the Bank of Canada or whatever or the Bank of the United States and so on, the Federal Reserve, how in the name of goodness will this stuff take off? And is there a concern here that governments may get in and say, hey, wait a minute, folks. You may want to trade in Bitcoin. That's not our currency in this country, and we're shutting you down. Mike, you pick up on that.
In my opinion, I don't think that's really relevant in the long run. I mean, just look at how government and the entertainment industry have tried to shut down file sharing and BitTorrent.
Yes.
They have made no grounds on that as of today. If anything, they're trying to work with the system. So if you look at it along that line, I think Bitcoin's going to be the same. It's pretty much impossible to impose any kind of global ban on it. Well, as long as the internet exists, people will find out about Bitcoin. As long as they find out about Bitcoin, some people will start using it.
There was a guy in Norway that bought some Bitcoins for about $13.75 in our money, and he just forgot about them. And apparently now those Bitcoins that he bought many years ago, whenever this started, they're now worth over $848,000 American.
Yeah, that's true. That person was actually a cryptography researcher.
Yes.
So he's right up the alley in terms of computer science and understanding all this. He got into it very early in 2009. He just bought $20 worth, $20 Norwegian dollars worth, just to try it out. And luckily, he never sold them, never threw them away. And Bitcoins were there. And by the end of last year, he got close to about $900,000 US dollars.
So he was able to walk into an establishment that said, "Okay, look, I'm going to exchange my Bitcoins for hard currency of a recognized government."
He could do that, but I think he chose to keep it.
But he chose to keep it. All right, listen, the two of you, hang on there. I'm going to come back to you in just a couple of minutes. We're going to put the two of you on hold, and we'll continue on this. You got questions for our guests? You can do that. We're talking to Mike Yeung and Esther Tung, President, Vice President of the Simon Fraser Bitcoin Club. Do you want to talk to them? How many of you listening to this show right now actually do use Bitcoin as currency? I'd never heard about it a few weeks ago, and now I'm trying to find out more about it because it's growing every single day. More about this in a moment as we come back here on CFAX 1070. Here's John Spur.
Thank you, Terry. Here's some stories from the CFAX newsroom. BC's Children's Watchdog is welcoming a new fund that will help former foster kids and youth access money for non-tuition expenses if they can't afford to attend post-secondary school. Mary Ellen Turpel-Lafon says that every youth deserves to go to university or college and that the $200,000 fund will help pay costs such as food, rent, and transportation. Prime Minister Harper got an honorary doctorate from the University of Tel Aviv today as he wrapped up his Israeli visit. He told the audience that he didn't share in the joy that first greeted the Arab Spring uprising in Egypt 3 years ago. Harper says that Canada was cautious, more cautious, and says that those feelings were borne out as elections were used to moving forwards as an authoritarian Islamic state. Canadian energy company TransCanada has started delivering oil through the southern part of the proposed Keystone XL pipeline, but opponents of the project are urging U.S. President Obama to reject the larger, more contentious northern leg of the system that would run from Alberta to Texas. CFAX weather currently clear, sitting at 7 degrees. Tonight, a few clouds rolling in, dropping to a low of 4 degrees throughout the evening, and then tomorrow, mainly sunny, reaching a high of 10 degrees. You can find out more at CFAX1070.com.
Call us 250-386-1161 or on your cell at star 1070. It's The Drive with Terry Moore on CFAX 1070.
I'm Terry Moore, and I've been hearing a lot about Total Prepare. Nils, tell me more about Total Prepare.
Terry, we're all about preparing you for any emergency situation. Earthquake kits, 25-year shelf life food packages, emergency water storage, filtration, you name it.
Who do you sell to?
We sell to families, schools, businesses, government. Everybody should have emergency supplies to be safe and self-reliant, no matter what the crisis.
And how can we order your products?
Just visit our website at totalprepare.ca.
Totalprepare.ca. Are you prepared?
When someone you love needs home care, you want them to see familiar, friendly faces. Verity Home Care is a 24-hour service known for giving elders personalized care. Hi, I'm Deborah Morrow, President of Verity Health Resources, a professional, full-service home support company. Call us for your free consultation today. Remember, at Verity, the nurse is always in. Call now at 216-4181 or online at verityhealth.ca and ask about our veterans discount. 216-4181.
Make your resolution happen this new year at Windsor Plywood. Check out their January flyer. The savings are enormous. Moldings, plywoods, finishing products, and doors. Every door style you can imagine. And Windsor Plywood on Van Owl Way in Langford and on Keating Crossroad in Central Saanich has on-site door shops to customize to your specs. And Windsor Plywood has floors, laminate, hardwood, vinyl, and new slate floors in stock now. And Windsor Plywood can deliver and install. Check them out. Happy New Year!
I'm a designer.
As am I.
So we only looked at homes with distinct lines. Clean, modern, nothing wasted.
Anton and Astrid found their dream home using the fast and easy search options at Zoocasa.com.
The listings update faster than Realtor.ca.
We like faster.
Zoocasa has smarter search and better tools with listings that update faster than Realtor.ca.
I'm tired from all this talking.
Yeah.
Zoocasa. Search all homes. Find top agents. Get cash back. Zoocasa is a licensed brokerage and a Rogers Communications company.
Fast-paced talk. The Drive with Terry Moore on CFAX 1070.
Bitcoins have gone mainstream. They were launched back in 2008. They're traded within a global network of computers. They are not backed by a single company or a government, but their release is tightly controlled, mimicking a central banking system's control over the minting of money. And what does that say for the future of Bitcoin? Well, according to our guests, they're well on their way, that this is something that you're not going to stop. They are looking at a lot of areas around that. They call themselves Bitcoiniacs. The local dealer that operates an ATM will roll out 4 other kiosks across Canada, and they're probably done that already now. We're into January. They're going to start doing that in December. Bitcoin trade is monitored by anti-money laundering regulators as well, and we're talking to Mike Yeung and Esther Tung. Mike Yeung is the president and the vice president of the Simon Fraser Bitcoin Club, and Esther is the vice president. They're both joining us on the phone line. So let me get this straight now. I want to go out and buy myself a car. And I say to the car dealer, I'll tell you what, I'll give you this X number of money for I'll give you X number of Bitcoins for that car. There's no transaction going on here that you bring in cash. I give him X number of Bitcoins, and he gives me the car, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how does the government get their taxes?
The CRA has said that with Bitcoins, you just have to declare your taxes just like you would with cash.
And if okay, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, just what was your concern? What is the question?
Okay, so the concern would be because they're so used to getting either a check from you or the company from which you buy the goods sends in their portion of the tax that you've paid, and they see it in different ways. Do you see companies paying governments off in Bitcoin as well? Mike?
Do we see...
I totally foresee that in the future. Actually, some companies have started taking the route of paying their employees in Bitcoin.
Right.
So instead of paying whatever currency they usually pay in a check. So, paying government, taxes in Bitcoin and vice versa. It's really not that out there. It's just like any other currency.
So we're not to the point yet where we can go down and we can pay our HST or anything like that in Bitcoin or pay our income tax in Bitcoin at this particular stage, but you see that day coming.
I think that day is coming. Maybe it'll take a few years, but it's coming for sure.
All right. Now, when we take a look at the Bitcoin itself, how deeply is it being utilized now, do you think, around the world?
Most people are actually still holding on to it. There's not actually a lot of everyday transactions, but we hope to change that by pushing for more merchants to adopt it all over the world.
As of today, looking at this Wednesday now, the 22nd day of January, what is a Bitcoin worth?
A Bitcoin is worth, today on Mt. Gox, it was about $900.
$900 for each Bitcoin.
Per Bitcoin, but you don't have to buy an entire Bitcoin, which is a common misconception that a lot of people have.
You can buy bits and pieces of a Bitcoin.
Yeah, you can buy $20 of a Bitcoin, even if it's like 0.001. A Bitcoin is infinitely divisible.
Okay, and how do you keep an account track of your Bitcoins?
How you keep an account?
Yeah, I mean, how do you know how much you got? I mean, obviously this is online and it's on the internet. How do you keep an accounting of the amount of Bitcoins that you got, because they're obviously worth a lot of money?
Right. So you can open your own Bitcoin wallet at blockchain.info, and every transaction that you make is recorded on a public ledger that everybody can access, and that's basically how you keep track of how much you're getting, how much you're sending.
And so, Mike, you also pointed out that no governments are supporting this at this particular stage, certainly not the Canadian government. It's not part of the Bank of Canada and so on, but you think there's going to be a major future in this, and it will continue because it can't be stopped because it's on the internet. Are you concerned about the issue that I raised at the beginning of the program, where you see a concern by the American government and the question of the drug trades and so on?
Yeah, I agree that government have to do their part to try and regulate Bitcoin in some small way, so that at the very least we know that criminals aren't getting their hands on it. And one way they're doing that is to implement a lot of anti-money laundering controls on the exchanges on the internet, so that they know exactly who is buying the Bitcoin and who are selling the Bitcoins. That is quite important. But in the long run, I don't think any government can really avoid the topic. If you avoid it, if you don't, have any clear rule or guidance on Bitcoin, it's really not a good territory to be in the future. So, take a look at a really progressive country like Germany, for example. They declared since last August that Bitcoin is totally illegal. So the reason why they did that, in my opinion, is because they want to collect taxes on it.
Yeah, of course.
That's a really wise move. That's a really good move. I think in the future you can expect the same in Canada and also in the States.
Give me a comparison here between the Bitcoin internet and what the people do on the stock market. You don't see your cash in the stock market either. You just know whether your stock has gone up and so on. Do you see the Bitcoin also getting involved in the stock market?
No, Bitcoin is not like a stock.
It's not like a stock.
No, Bitcoin is definitely not a stock. If you can't see exactly how much money you have in the stock market, but with a Bitcoin, if you have the Bitcoin in your wallet, then you always know how much you have, and you always have it with you.
What if a person phones up their stock trader and said, "Look, I want to buy X number of shares in so and so and so and so, and I'll pay you in Bitcoin"?
I think there are actually movements by the Facebook twins to make Bitcoin tradable on the stock market using an ETF.
Right.
But thus far, the American authorities haven't taken that. They haven't made that possible. But I think in the future that will come, because there's a lot of people who are not yet very tech-savvy to get into Bitcoin, and they want to look at it as a trading tool. So in the future, that might happen. But in my opinion, that's really not where Bitcoin should go. Bitcoin should be used as a tool for people to trade stuff with. It's not a stock.
How prevalent is Bitcoin use in Canada as we speak?
We don't have any hard numbers on that, do we?
Esther?
Do we have any hard numbers on that?
At the moment, the merchant adoption rate is still very low in terms of everyday use. It's not very common, but if you look at the example of some of the recent big companies, big firms that have taken Bitcoin, like Virgin Galactica, so you can use Bitcoin to send you up to space. That's a very promising situation, especially with the website. What was it? That recently took Bitcoin.
Overstock.com.
Yeah, they're very huge. They're not the size of Amazon, but on the very first day that they took Bitcoin, they got over $100,000 worth of business in Bitcoins.
In Bitcoins.
So, yeah.
All right, hang on. I got a question here from a caller. Jennifer, you're on CFAX 1070. Go ahead to Mike Yeung and Esther Tung.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about the Bitcoin wallet. Like, has anyone been hacked into and had all their Bitcoins gone?
Can you hack a Bitcoin wallet, and has there been any theft of this in the past?
There have been thefts, especially regarding exchanges. There was a big exchange in China that, I don't think they got hacked, but it was a scam, and so they just took all the money that people had. But if you keep your wallet, or if you keep your Bitcoins in a wallet that you open on blockchain, and only you have access to private key, which is necessary to control the Bitcoins that are in that wallet, then there is a very low chance that will happen.
All right. If people want to get more information on this, where can they go as far as your organization is concerned?
We have our website at www.sfu.ca/Bitcoin. So that's our club website.
SFU.ca/Bitcoin.ca. Is that correct?
sfu.ca/Bitcoin.
/Bitcoin. Okay. All right. And how much trading do you do now? And how many things do you get involved in, Esther, and you, Mike? And you use Bitcoin almost exclusively.
I have only one Bitcoin, and I bought in when it was about $240.
Okay.
But when I pick a coffee shop to go to, or if I want to pick a restaurant to go to, I'll check coinmap.org to see if there's one near me that does, and I usually will go out of my way to go and support that business for taking Bitcoin.
Okay, and what about you, Mike?
Well, if you want to check out some of the merchants here in Vancouver that take Bitcoin, from everything from restaurants to cafes, you can check out the BitcoinCoop.org website. That's BitcoinCoop, COOP.org. And they have a merchant page that lists all the vendors and all the merchants in downtown Vancouver that take Bitcoin right now. So what I try to do is I try to go to those locations and see if I can meet anybody else that likes Bitcoin. I try to spend Bitcoins there.
All right,
Every time that I go to a restaurant that don't take it, I try to get them to take it. I try to talk to the bosses.
Let me read you an email I just got in here from Gord. Gord says the creation of money in Canada by anyone but the Bank of Canada cheats the Canadian public. Banks have been doing this for decades, having it in writing from the Bank of Canada. Bitcoin is another means of cheating us. Give me your take on that.
Well, in my opinion, I think it should be the other way around. If the government has exclusive power to print money, they can print it out of thin air, right? That's kind of stealing the wealth out of a lot of people's pockets. So Bitcoin is almost a solution for this by creating a system where nobody has the right to print money out of thin air, where the supply of money is finite. It's already mathematically proven. So that to me seems like a much more logical way to go about things than just saying only government can print money and it's up to them to decide whether or not they want to print, more money tomorrow or the day after.
All right, listen, I appreciate the time from the two of you today. We'll watch this very closely. This is a fascinating area. Thank you, Mike Yeung and Esther Tung.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time today on CFAX 1070. Mike and Esther, Mike is the president and Esther is the vice president of the Simon Fraser Bitcoin Club. Everything you wanted to know about Bitcoin currency. I'm still confused, but for me, that's not unusual. Back with you after the 5 o'clock news. The federal leader of the opposition has some terse words for Canadian banks. Stay tuned.